My dad opened up 3 credit cards in my name without telling me and told me to just bite the bullet because I'm young, but I reported him so now he can get opened up in jail. Posted by you/weararemipants. So, recently, I've decided to try and make the next big step in my life and buy a house, but when I went to get pre-approval for a mortgage, I was told by the lender they wouldn't be able to give me a home loan because of the defaulted credit cards. Apparently, there were 3 credit cards opened in my name over the past year that were not paid off. They also said I probably wouldn't be able to get a loan from any lender because of it and gave me a sheet of paper explaining what I'd need to do in order to fix it. When I tried disputing the cards, one of which is already in collections, the disputes were closed out as the debts were verified. I told my parents, who are divorced, about it, and their answers were pretty wildly different. My dad said that these things happen and that I should be more careful in the future with my social security number. Seeing as I've always been careful, that made me pretty mad. My mom said she thinks my dad might have something to do with it since him opening credit cards in her name had a part to play in their divorce. She told me he ran up about $50,000 in credit card debt on secret credit cards. A few days ago, I ended up casually telling my dad I'm going to have to file a police report for the credit cards. He told me I probably shouldn't do that because $15,000 isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. When I told him it was keeping me from buying a house, he said I could just wait a few years until they fell off my credit report. He said it would only take another 4.5 years. When I told him I obviously couldn't wait that long, so I have to file the police report, he straight up told me not to do it and to just be more careful in the future. Once I told him I already got the paperwork together from the credit agencies, he told me he had opened the cards to pay for living expenses over the last year. He said his work slowed down a little bit, but he'd do what he could to help pay it off. He said it would ruin his life if he went to jail. I'm leaning towards going to the police anyway, but I didn't do it right that minute. I have everything in front of me today to go make the report. I guess I just want to make sure turning it over to the police is the right thing to do here, especially if I'm wanting to buy a house this year. Update 1. I spent about half of the day reading everyone's comments, and it pretty much solidified what I was going to do. The process itself was pretty easy. I went to the police department, and the person at the front desk had me wait about 10 minutes before an officer came out. We talked for about 15 minutes, and he made copies of all the paperwork I gave him. He told me the case would be assigned to a detective on Tuesday and gave me a pamphlet about how to contact the credit agencies. I was given a report number and was told I could use that now to start disputing the accounts. A detective is going to follow up with me in the next couple of weeks. I asked what would end up happening to my dad, and the officer said it looked pretty clear-cut to him, but the charging decision is 100% with the state attorney's office. He said if they decide to pursue charges, my dad will likely get a warrant put out for his arrest. He also said that if this is his first felony, he's probably going to get some sort of pretrial diversion with court supervision or probation. He probably won't go to jail for years, but if he gets picked up on a warrant, he'll spend at least a little bit of time behind bars. I've decided I'm okay with that because it's obvious to me he did this purposefully. He's never been arrested before, so hopefully this is a wake-up call for him. At the same time, he completely did this to himself. I'll update whenever I learn more. Update 2. There's been some good progress, a little bad, and a little real bad progress over the past few days. The good, I used my report number and disputed every account. When I last checked my credit, which everyone should be doing regularly, the account with the lowest balance was already off my account. The other cards and the collection account are still showing, but I hope they'll be removed in the next few weeks. I also received a call from someone at the prosecutor's office who had a couple of extra questions for me and asked if I would be willing to testify if they charged him. I said yes, and they said they would be making a decision on the charges before the end of the month. The bad, obviously, someone talked to my dad about this because the last time he spoke to me, he scolded me for going to the police and hasn't talked to me since. One of my brothers was also pretty mad at me about it and hasn't talked to me in over a week. The rest of my siblings and my mom understood where I was coming from. The real bad, one of my other brothers, not the one who was pissed, found 2 credit cards on his credit report that weren't his. He checked his credit score for the first time in a couple of years, and he said it was down about 150 points from where it used to be. He's now in the process of dealing with that. He doesn't have any positive proof yet that it was our dad, but the fingers are pointing in that direction. All my other siblings, there are 6 of us, are now checking their credit too. It's probably for the best. It still blows my mind that a dad could do this to his own children. I'm moving forward, though, and I still hope to be able to purchase a house before the end of the year. Update 3. This is going to be my final update as it seems like this has gone viral and hit a few different big websites. I'm happy to say my credit has completely returned to normal. All of the disputed accounts are now gone. Obviously, I'm excited about this since it gives me a solid financial future. I also received a letter from the prosecutor's office 2 weeks ago, and they said they are going forward with a charge of what is basically identity theft. I spoke with an assistant prosecutor, and they explained they'd be putting out a warrant shortly but that as a first-time offender, they'd probably offer a misdemeanor charge and a plea. My dad was arrested last Friday after a traffic stop. He got out of jail the next day and has a new court date in late August, according to the Public Records website. He called me and told me I'm not his son anymore and to never contact him again. My brother, who found credit cards opened in his name, has made a police report as well, but apparently the addresses are different on the accounts. He was told it was unlikely they would be prosecuted, but he's working on getting them off of his credit. Just wanted to give everyone who commented on my other posts a shout out. You have all given me the courage to do this. I'm going to be deleting this throwaway because I really hope to put all of this behind me between the news articles and having no contact with my dad. Don't let things like this sneak up on you. It breaks my heart to do this to my dad, but he did this to himself.